Hello there, this is Shal, and welcome to today's episode of
VoxFX.
In this tutorial, I'll talk about the second type of reverb plugin, Convolution Reverb. Then, I'll discuss how to use it to tame distortion in your mix. For those who are new, if you haven't seen my first video about reverb, please go do so. And remember that if you're lost, check the tutorial archive. With that out of the way, let's get started.
Convolution.
Convolution Reverb is different from your standard reverb plugin. Algorithmic reverb is pretty much just a customizable network of delay effects. On the other hand, Convolution Reverb emulates the reverb character of real physical spaces. Here's how it works. Every Convolution Reverb has an audio file stored in it, called an impulse response. An impulse response, or IR for short, is a recording of a room's reverb. To make an IR, you need a sudden loud burst of noise, called an impulse. Common impulse sounds include claps, starter pistols, balloon pops, or sharp electronic clicks. You set up your mic in a room, play the impulse noise, and then record the sound of the reverberations in the room. Boom. Impulse response. Thankfully, you don't have to make IRs yourself if you don't want to, though it can be fun to do so. It's easy to find free ones online. Your DAW might even come with some. Then, put the IR in the Reverb plugin and route your audio to it. The plugin combines the IR and the source audio using a mathematical process called, big surprise, convolution. It's rather complicated, but suffice to say, convolution combines the two audio signals together. This makes the source audio sound like it's coming from inside the impulse response. This is incredibly powerful. With this, you can place a sound in your mix in any space you can think of, as long as you have an impulse response for it. Let's see it in action. So here we have a vocal. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright, don't stop the dancing. You get the point. Now let's add our convolution reverb. Here is FL Studio's Fruity Convolver. It comes with a preset impulse response. And here's what the audio sounds like with the reverb on. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright, don't stop the dancing. Pretty cool, isn't it? This plugin also has a few controls like what you'd see on a normal reverb. It has standard wet-dry controls. Those work as you'd expect. It has a pre-delay control, which adds a delay to the start of the reverb as usual, but you also have to factor in that the IR has some pre-delay baked in, because it's reverb. Reverb in natural spaces comes with pre-delay. You can't make it shorter than the pre-delay that comes with it. It has a time stretch feature, which basically lets you make the impulse response shorter or longer to change the reverb time, and it also has a self-convolution control, which adds feedback to the reverb, creating some cool washed-out sounds. Good if you want it to sound spacey or strange like that. So now let's change the impulse response and see what happens. I'm actually going to turn off the dry version just so you can hear what the reverb itself sounds like. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah. Now the vocal is inside an oven. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh. Now they're in a warehouse. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah. Now they're in a cathedral. You get the point. Like I said, you can put your audio in any space you want. A cave, Carnegie Hall, a public bathroom, an oil tanker, a plastic bottle, or a guitar speaker cabinet. There's a special type of impulse response called a cabinet impulse response. Audio engineers figured out that you can record an impulse response from a speaker cabinet and put it in a convolution reverb. That way, you can make any audio signal sound like it's coming from that guitar cabinet. This is a very powerful tool. Guitar cabinets tame distortion. They're what make distorted guitars sound the way they do. For example, here's a guitar sample I recorded. Sounds alright by itself. And then when I distort it with this amp simulator, it sounds trashy. But then I put on this convolution reverb here, and now it sounds like a normal guitar tone. I can actually do the same thing with a vocal. Let me move these out of the way. Wrong source. Sorry.
One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright, don't stop the dancing.
Notice that I turned on an EQ there. Like I said in the distortion video, putting an EQ before the distortion is a great way to clean it up, and this is especially important when working with cabinet simulators. Now, this plugin here is just like the convolution reverb I showed you before. It just happens to support 2 IRs at the same time. And here's one that can support 6. This is useful if you want to have many cabinets for one signal. And this brings me to an important point about convolution reverb. It's CPU intensive. It's probably fine to use a few of them on your tracks, but if you want to simulate a whole bunch of speaker cabinets at once, it'll use a lot of CPU. So be careful with that. At any rate, guitar cabinet IRs are also fairly easy to find with a quick Google search. Get a bunch of them and experiment with how each one changes your audio. You may be surprised at the tones you can achieve, both with guitars and with other instruments. Finally, there are links in the description to download both of these cabinet simulators, this one, and some links to IRs that I like to use. Anyway, that does it for this tutorial. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions about convolution reverb and cabinet simulators, comment below. I'm always open for questions. And as always, if you'd like to request a VoxFX tutorial, please send me a message. Remember, if it's talky, I can talk about it. Next time, I'll be showing you how to take your guitar tone to the next level with the wah effect. Until then, have fun and keep making sound.
VoxFX.
Excuse me. What is with me and belching during these recordings?